Greetings, Personal Finance. Today we're going to work on your checking and online banking. More specifically, checking today, we'll do online banking on Monday. So to do that, you're going to go out to your classroom. You're going to be under the classwork heading, and we're going to come all the way down here to checking and online banking. Once you click on that, you'll notice there is an area where you can make a copy of some notes that we can use. So go ahead and make a copy for yourself. And once you've done that, we'll get started. I'm going to go ahead and I already have them open, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So if you needed to pause, that was fine. So here we go. These are all the savings some extra checking and other banking services. Um, Today we're going to go through a few of these things revolving around your checking accounts, some things that occur within, and then you'll also be asked to plug some things in. And I'm going to have a quiz for you to take at the end. It'll be in your classroom as well. Okay, so here we go. Some checking and other banking services. So something to be mindful of: if you write a check and you don't want it to go through, you can order a stop payment. Some banks will charge you for this, so when you write a check, you might want to make sure you really want to do that. But sometimes checks get stolen, and people try to write checks that aren't theirs. So that's a really nice feature to have when you have the stop payment order. Below that, we have a thing called demand deposit. This is just another name for a check. And basically it demands that you take money from your account and deposit it into someone else's. That's what writing a check is. All right. After that, we have floating a check. This is when you write a check knowing you don't currently have the funds in your checking account. Not a good idea. You're basically hoping that you will get paid in time to cover the check you wrote. Some people will actually say, hey, don't cash this check for a couple days. I haven't got paid yet. That's not a good practice or habit to get into. This is just to make you aware that people do this. It's not something I'm encouraging you to do. All right. The next thing is a certified check. This is one that is guaranteed by the bank. Anything that is certified, they are going to make sure the funds are in there, and it'll be sent out when the time is right. Okay. An overdraft is something that can also occur with your checking account. This is when you write a check and you didn't have enough money in there, so they call that an overdraft. And they also call this an NSF check or an insufficient funds check. And they can charge you for this for having to cover the cost of your overdraft. Some people will have their savings accounts tied to their checking accounts. So if an overdraft should occur, they have what's called overdraft protection, and their savings account will automatically transfer funds to their checking to cover that. Again, if you're balancing your checkbook correctly, which is something we're going to practice in here, this should never happen. All right. A lot of you are not going to write a bunch of checks. You're going to end up using your debit card a ton, which is even trickier when keeping track of your balance because it's so easy just to swipe and move on and not write it down anywhere. Yes, you can check it online, but if it's me and it's my money, I'm always keeping track of what I've spent and what I haven't in case some errors happen or somebody happens to steal my card or gets my card number and starts using it online. So that's more important now than ever to keep track of everything you spend as you go along. In addition to that, we also have some types of checking accounts. You can have a joint one where you and another person open it together. My wife and I actually have ours open together. You can have special accounts where there's a limited amount of checks that can be written per month. And there's some other conditions that can apply too. It varies bank to bank or credit union or whatever place you decide to go. But you can look into those if you want to. There are standard where service fees apply. Maybe a minimum balance must be maintained, or there will be a service fee. Sometimes those situations happen. Those are pretty standard. I personally will not have a checking account unless it's free. I think it is ridiculous to pay for a checking account. The bank, when you have a checking account, they are using the money you have in there to make money. So there's no reason you should have to pay for that, in my opinion. Now, some banks will charge you anyway. In addition to that, going down to the next one, you have interest-bearing accounts or money market accounts. These accounts can gain interest while you have a balance in there, and they'll basically take your average balance and they'll pay you interest based on that average balance. In my opinion, that's what should happen with every account because, again, banks are using your money to make money. And while as long as you have money in there, they feel like they can loan it out. The last thing down there is share accounts. These are accounts with low or no average daily balance requirements and no service fees. Share accounts are usually synonymous with credit unions, whereas banks usually just have your basic money market type accounts. Okay. Some other services in there, you can get what's called a cashier's check. This is very similar to a certified check, also known as a bank draft. And this is a check that's guaranteed, a check written through a withdrawal from your savings or checking account. It can come from either. And it's typically used when payments need to be guaranteed but cash is not desired. All right. As we keep going down the line here, we have what are called money orders. This is like a check, but typically used by persons who don't use cash and don't have a checking account. So you can send a money order this way. Money orders used to be popular back in the day. And they always used to advertise on TV that you could buy this now, and sometimes money orders would be accepted, sometimes they wouldn't. In this day and age, I'm not sure you're going to use a lot of money orders in general. You're usually going to have a debit card situation where you're going to be spending money, or you're just going to straight up use cash. So money orders are kind of a special situation. After that, you have what are called loans and trusts and financial services. Loans are amounts of money that the bank is willing to give you. Now, it's not tied to your checking account. However, I bring it up in this situation because I tend to keep all of my finances in one place, so it's easy to transfer money from one place to another. And if anything fishy should be going on, I can keep track of that through one service. Sometimes there's advantages to spreading out however many banks you're invested in, but at this point in time, I don't see a need for that. Some other opportunities that they offer you are trusts, and they're in here to give you the ability to manage other people's property or give other people the ability to manage your property through a trust. A lot of trusts are put together for the purposes of wills and estates to hand down over time when you pass away. That's what a lot of trusts are built for, and it also helps you avoid paying the government some taxes, or more specifically an inheritance tax on some of the things that you might get. So if you don't have those things in place in the future, I don't know if you need to do it now, but in the future you're going to want to think about it, so when people inherit your stuff, they don't have to worry about how much take the government's going to take. And then they also provide some basic financial services through investments and a basic brokerage form of advice and service. So those are all some things that happen in the background at the bank. One more thing is a safe deposit box is also available, and this is a place where you can store things, pay a small fee, and keep your belongings that you don't want to keep in your house that might get stolen or burn up or whatever the case may be. Usually small collectibles or valuables. A lot of people like to put their Social Security cards in there if they can afford to put their Social Security stuff and birth certificates in safe deposit boxes. But that's a choice for them. In addition to that, I've also included in these slides a personal perspective on check writing. Some of you have never written a check, and today is going to be your day to do it. I've got Lynn Wynn here in her example, and it looks like her and her sister were working on this together because Angie signed it. But here's what I'd like you to do with this scenario. I want you to screenshot an image of a check and paste it into these set of slides. Before you paste it in, I need you to fill the blank check out. And I don't care who you write it to, and I don't care how much it's for, but I want you to fill in all the information on a check so you get practical writing of a check and filling out the information. Remember when you're filling out the check that you don't want any space here between the left edge and your first number, because you don't want people sliding in extra numbers. Additionally, you have to spell out on this line whatever amount it is. Okay? Make the amount a double-digit amount. Don't make it $1. Nobody, I can't say no one writes a check for $1, but writing a check for $1 is pretty silly. Okay? Make sure you also give a reason why you're writing the check, sign it, and that will complete your check. Delete whatever example we have here and paste yours in so I know you did it. Okay? After you've done that, you're going to go find the back of a check. You're going to try and find the endorsement side of a check, and you're going to complete this exercise where you sign or endorse your name on the back of a check. That basically gives you the right to deposit it, or if you endorse a blank endorsement, that's what this is, that actually gives anyone the right to cash it. So you don't really want to sign your name here unless you're taking it to the bank and you're right there at the bank turning it in. You can put for deposit only, which means someone couldn't cash it. It would have to go in the deposit spot, and you could sign your name there saying it can only be deposited, and it only can be deposited to you because your name's on it. So some things to consider. Uh, I'm going to give you a moment. Go ahead and fill those checks out in the backs of these checks and plug that information in. When you're done, there's one more thing you're going to do today. There's a check register template. I want you to click on this, and it's going to bring this example up. And basically you have a series of transactions where you're keeping track of what you have or haven't spent. Now you're going to get to make all this up, but a couple things that I want you to be aware of. Obviously the dates. These are the source documents or the reasons behind your check writing or money adding or subtracting from your account. So for example, this DEP stands for a deposit, and in this case it's a direct deposit of $1,000. That's your wages you've earned. An EFT is an electronic funds transfer, so they're automatically paying your car payment here for $115. And the category is auto. This was wages and tips. Then we wrote a check number 2032 for Joe's Food Mart to pay for some groceries. That was $87.34. And then we transferred funds to our savings account, $100. So those are some examples. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to fill out 10 more transactions and 2 deposits. So 12 total, 10 transactions, 2 deposits. This is an example of a deposit. These 3 things are examples of transactions. In order for you to manipulate this document, you're going to have to go to File and make a copy to do that. Okay? So here's what it looks like when you make a copy. It's going to pop up here. And then I want you to note, give your name and account name. You can call it checking or your name and checking, whatever you want to call it there. But I want you to see this. If you take and you spend $200, it's automatically going to update your account. So don't be deleting any of these things that have dashes in them, because it's got a formula in here that's going to take care of it. Same way with deposits. If I put 300 here, voila, it's going to add the 300 and do that for you. All you have to do is fill in all this other stuff. Okay, remember, 10 transactions, 2 deposits. After that, you have a quiz that I'd like you to take as well. That thing is posted in your classroom. So make sure you go back to the classroom and find that quiz and take it. It's about a 5-question quiz. It's not real complicated, but if you didn't watch the video, it's going to be hard for you to answer the questions. All right, thank you for spending your time with me today. Again, I won't see you till Wednesday on Halloween because I got a lot of things I got going on. So sorry I can't be there, but I tried to be in this video. All right, take care. Have a good one. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.